gentle breeze brushed by as Heidi stood beneath the summer sun of the Alps. The fragrant scent of grass enveloped her, momentarily easing her from the heat's grip. Mimicking the eagles she admired, she stretched out her arms, imagining herself soaring through the tranquil sky. Orphaned at a young age, Heidi had been cared for by her Aunt Dutta, but now, with her aunt working, she had to return to the mountains to live with her grandfather. However, he refused to take her in, angrily locking the door of their cabin. Left to fend for herself, Heidi sought solace among the sheep, sleeping in their pen. In the early morning, her grandfather, begrudgingly concerned, brought her a bowl of sheep's milk. Heidi eagerly drank it, knowing that for the next few days, her grandfather wouldn't send her away. Climbing to the attic, she nestled into the soft grass, finding comfort in her makeshift bed. She liked it there. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the small window, casting dancing dust particles around Heidi as she woke to the sound of bells, signaling the arrival of the young shepherd boy. Peter, excitedly, she bounded downstairs, gulping down the sheep's milk her grandfather had left for her. Grabbing her provisions, they set off together to herd the sheep up the mountain. With Peter taking on the responsibility of protecting Heidi up in the mountains, they ran carefree and unrestrained, enjoying each other's company without a worry in the world. Heidi's carefree days were abruptly shattered by the arrival of her aunt, who came demanding Heidi's return. Claiming that a wealthy family had agreed to adopt Heidi, her aunt urged her grandfather to comply. However, he staunchly refused her request. Undeterred, Heidi's aunt searched the mountains until she found Heidi herding the sheep. Through coaxing and manipulation, she managed to convince Heidi to leave with her. It wasn't until her grandfather saw Peter returning alone that he hastily dropped his side and rushed toward the village. Realizing too late what had happened, Heidi gradually disappeared from his sight. Tears welled in the grandfather's eyes as his weathered face bore the marks of sorrow and loss, leaving behind only a solitary figure of loneliness. With the money in hand, the aunt departed contentedly. Heidi and the little girl in the house exchanged smiles, instantly forming a deep connection and quickly becoming fast friends. Heidi's life underwent a drastic change in this new environment. Though everything seemed wonderful on the surface, the rules here were stringent. No running indoors, no loud noises, and absolute silence during meals. These restrictions brought endless frustration to Heidi, who could only find solace in her dreams, where she roamed vast meadows and endless skies. Heartbroken, Heidi gazed out the window, longing to return to her grandfather's side and to the carefree world she once knew. However, one night, the master of the house found Heidi standing at the door in her nightclothes, clutching the wooden eagle her grandfather had given her. She had developed a case of sleepwalking. Heidi's heart had long flown back to the humble cabin in the Alps. The doctor advised the master that Heidi must be returned to the mountains, or her condition would worsen. After a long journey, Heidi finally returned to the mountains she had yearned for day after day. Stepping once again onto the muddy soil she knew so well. Without hesitation, she shed her princess dress and darted joyfully towards the wooden cabin up the hill. She transformed back into her former self, running barefoot on the ground, drinking sheep's milk heartily, and herding sheep with Peter, darting through the mountains like a nimble deer among the clouds. Before she knew it, winter had arrived, and she and her grandfather moved down to the village to attend school. One day, the teacher posed a question: "What do you want to be when you grow up?" The classmates' answers varied from shepherds to farmers to blacksmiths. Only Heidi replied differently. She wanted to write stories. Her answer struck the other children as peculiar, and they erupted into laughter. In her spare time, Heidi continuously wrote letters to Clara, her greatest wish being for Clara to come and visit her. Finally, with a specially made wheelchair, Clara's grandmother brought her up the mountain to find Heidi. When the two long-lost friends reunited, it seemed like there were endless words to say. They lay down together in the attic's hay pile, wishing upon the falling stars in the night sky. A butterfly gently landed on Clara's foot, its wings fluttering up and down as if dancing. Clara reached out to catch it, forgetting her leg ailment, and astonishingly stood up. Heidi called out loudly, and Peter rushed to help, encouraging Clara to take bold steps forward. The soft mountain soil imprinted her footprints. Clara could finally walk. Before parting ways, Clara's grandmother gave Heidi a book and a pen, telling her that if there was something that made her happy, she should go ahead and do it, no matter what others said.